Good morning. We are back again for another interview. I am Louise Beale, the General Secretary of the Scottish LGBTI Police Association, and today I'm talking with Chief Inspector Jill McKenzie-Kerr. So welcome, Jill. Thanks very much for doing this and coming along. So we're going to start off straight away with the first question. Tell me a bit about yourself, how long you've been in the police and what roles you've done whilst you've been in the job.
Okay, I've been in the police, it'll be 26 years in March. I joined March 1995. I did 9 years basically as a response cop in the city centre of Edinburgh, and 3 stations sort of in the fairly central in Edinburgh. And then I moved to liquor licensing, where I was then promoted into the sergeant position. I worked out in Pennycook, I worked in CID, and then I worked in executive support as a support staff sergeant for 2 ACCs in Lothian and Borders at the time. I then was temporarily promoted to Safer Communities in Edinburgh before I was substantively promoted and went straight into road policing as an inspector in road policing, which was an area I'd never had any experience of. Loved it there. I was there for 3 years, and then moved to the Force Communications Centre, which is now the ACR at Bilston, where I was a firearms silver commander, they were called at the time. And I was there for 3 years again. And then I moved into firearms licensing just before Police Scotland came into being. And I was briefly on the reform team there, looking at firearms licensing and liquor licensing. And then because they were split, I actually decided to go into firearms licensing, despite my expertise probably being in liquor licensing, because I thought it would be a change. And I actually stayed there until 2017. After the start of Police Scotland, because there was so much change going on, I didn't want to leave in the middle of it all. So I moved to Criminal Justice Services in 2017, and I was in support, local delivery unit, which was sort of PNC records, quality assurance, that sort of side of things, before becoming a custody review inspector. And from that post, I have been temporarily promoted, so I'm a temporary chief inspector into the continuous improvement unit in Criminal Justice Services. That's pretty much
it. See, I've known you for a couple of years, and I didn't know you'd done all of those things. If you could pick one, what was your best or most favourite role out of all of that?
Do you know, every time I go on a role, I say it's my favourite role, because I've enjoyed every role that I've done in the police pretty much. There's one I didn't, but I really enjoyed road policing, to be fair. There was such variety. You obviously got to drive fast cars or be a passenger in fast cars. There was pursuits. In terms of management of pursuits, there was senior investigating officer was my main function, really, for serious and fatal collisions. And obviously then events in terms of the drink drive campaign and the summer campaigns that we ran, having management of all that. So there was such a variety of jobs in there. If I was to pick one as an inspector, yeah. But the role I'm doing now, I'm absolutely loving, to be fair. So it's difficult. I've genuinely thoroughly enjoyed the vast majority of the jobs I've done in the police.
Well, that's really good to hear. So I know you've been in for quite a few years. Obviously, things would have been a bit different when you first started. What are the big changes? What do things look like when you first started compared to now, sort of culturally?
Oh, I mean, it couldn't be more different, Louise. It's night and day. When I joined in 1995, there weren't any gay officers, as far as I was concerned. There was no one that was out. You occasionally suspected someone might be gay, but nobody was out. It was very, very closeted. Yeah, there was jokes. There was jokes that flew around back then about. There was misogynistic jokes as well. That was just the culture. I actually was married to a man. I got married just after my probation, so in 1997. And then we split up, and I had another relationship with a male. And then I started to realise that this sort of hidden part of me that I knew deep down inside that I was gay, and I ended up having a relationship with a woman in, I think it was 2003, and from there I joined the GPA quite early on. It would be about 2004. It was when Davy Lyle was head of GPA, but I was very much. I kind of came out twice. I was kind of in the closet, out the closet, in the closet, out the closet. It was really difficult back then. You know, even we're only talking what 15 years ago. It was still pretty tough, the culture.
Certainly from the stories I've heard, it's been a challenge for people living in that environment. So what eventually gave you that sort of drive to come out at work?
Well, when I first started in a relationship with a woman, as I say, I joined the GPA, and I didn't make any great announcement, but there was a lot of rumours flying around. There was some ridiculous rumours flying around about me, but some of them were true. And one of the rumours that were true was that I was seeing a woman, and I didn't deny it, and I just kind of let it be. And then I was in a particular department that was very macho, shall we say, and sort of the way I was treated and some of the comments that I was subjected to, I found it really tough. There was things like, you just haven't met the right man, comments like that, because people couldn't quite understand why I could have been married to a man and then suddenly was openly a lesbian. And I even had a comment that, oh, people think that you're just pretending to be gay so you can climb the promotion ladder, which that really hurt. I was thinking all the pain that I put my parents through, the whole coming out, that experience, as if you would do that just to get another rung on the promotion ladder. So I actually kind of went back in the closet, and when I was promoted to inspector, I hid who I was when I was my first couple of inspector posts, and I at the time I was in a relationship with a female who had a bit of a I suppose a gender neutral name, so it was a little bit easier. I could refer to her by name and you wouldn't know if it was male or female. I never used female pronouns. It was, just really tough. And then I had the opportunity to go on a Stonewall leadership course down in Henley, and that was a 2-day residential course, and it was all about authentic leadership. And I realised just how much time I was spending, how much effort I was spending hiding who I was and how unhappy I was. And I would actually say that course was kind of life-changing for me, because I made a vow to myself on that course that I was going to come back and I was going to be myself. I wasn't going to make any wig. I wasn't going to stand in a chair and say, by the way, everyone, I'm gay, because I think they probably knew. But I just stopped using gender neutral terms and started talking about my partner and saying she and her. And the reaction was brilliant. No one really said to my face, but I heard, that everyone behind my back were saying that they were really honoured that I trusted them to be able to be open and honest with them. And I was really overwhelmed by that. And that was when I was in the traffic in the road policing, which is a really macho culture. But they couldn't have been more supportive and welcoming. And I just realised I have spent so much time and effort hiding who I was for nothing, really, because of one bad experience.
That's really sad that you've gone such a long time and the toll that it takes. So yeah. Do you think that the culture now would be more accepting?
Oh, absolutely. It's so different, and there's so much more support out there. The GPA was great at the time, but it was very small, and I guess not particularly. It wasn't as out there as the LGBTI association is, so it was almost like a secret society in a way. It was kind of sad, but the association now is just so open and welcoming, and the encouragement for allies that wasn't really there before. That's a really good thing as well, is that straight people can support us, and just I think the organisation as a whole, I've certainly not for a long time have I had a bad experience. A long time.
That's very good to hear, and we like that. And obviously the progress has been remarkable. So thanks very much for sharing that story. I know that we talk a lot about role models, and you are a senior officer, although temporary chief inspector. And I do know a lot of people look up to you and think, well, if you can make it as a police officer and get to that rank, then other people can too. That there is a lack of sort of role models in policing for the LGBT community. Do you have role models or people that you look up to or try and emulate in your career?
Yeah, I have had role models. Unfortunately, I haven't had any LGBTI role models because I'm apparently the equal highest ranking openly gay senior officer, so I haven't got anyone above me to look up to that is LGBTI, but I have had a couple of role models over the years who are female. One was Chief Superintendent Leslie Clark, who was just such an open, sympathetic, caring boss, but was also very, very good at her job operationally. She was able to get that right balance. And my current boss, Superintendent Susie Mertes, is really excellent as well. She's a really supportive boss. But so if I look up to, the role models that I look at are the more caring and open senior officers that look after their staff and care about their well-being, which is really important to me as well. But yeah, growing up through the ranks. When I was younger, Davy Lyle was a role model because he was so brave and being so out there, and he was an inspector rank. But kind of once I got to inspector rank, there was nothing. So I haven't had an LGBTI role model for the vast majority of my career when I've been out. The vast majority.
Do you think that would have made a difference if there is someone?
Yeah, I do. Think it would have just not that I necessarily think that, in fact I don't think that being gay is an impediment to being promoted at all, but just having that aspiration to see someone that's of a higher rank, that to know that there are no barriers, even though I know deep down inside there aren't any barriers anymore, it would be good to have some role models out there just to prove it, I guess.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that, and hopefully they won't be too far away. Maybe you'll be the next ACC. We'll see. So I've just got one more question for you, Jill, because I know you're a very busy lady. So looking back in the position you're at now, what advice would you give your younger self or to someone who is new in Police Scotland and just starting their journey as a police officer? What advice would you give yourself and them?
Don't waste your time trying to hide who you are. It's painful, and it takes up so much of your time. I think, is it 60% of your time is wasted trying to hide who you are, something like that statistically. And it's, when you do have the bravery to come out, you'll be amazed just how supportive everyone is. In fact, it's not really a thing anymore. It used to be canteen gossip. I think was it Kevin that said that in his interview, which is very true. Everyone would whisper about someone that had come out or who they thought might be gay, but nobody bats an eyelid anymore. And the senior officers are so supportive now, and there's so much help. And the LGBTI Association, sign up. Even if you're not ready to come out, sign up. There's loads of support there. There's lots of videos like this of officers' experiences. So just be yourself, because you'll perform better, you'll be happier. That's all I can say, really.
Well, that's great advice, and hopefully it will get out to people in the future so they can see that. So it just leaves me to say thank you very much for your time, Jill, and for answering all those questions and being so honest. And thank you very much.
Thank you.